Hello and welcome to Bob and Friends. I'm Bob Berg here with two of my great friends, Kim Angeli and Jeff West. Hey, they're both former sales stars, great entrepreneurs, Jeff West and Kim Angeli both. And in a moment, we'll introduce you to another great friend of all of ours. Jeff West is a former top-producing salesperson, then mega-successful sales manager leader for a very well-known Fortune 500 company who's now a speaker at all sorts of sales conferences, as well as an award-winning author who recently won his sixth writing award in just 3 books. The last one he did was with yours truly. That's Streetwise to Saleswise, and he did such a wonderful job with that. He's got another one coming out later this year with Bill Gates, an icon in the referral marketing and space. And I got a chance to read it, and it is a good one. You're gonna really love it. He's also the creator of Fusion Points, which is a magnificent concept Jeff developed, which really shows. Really what it does is it helps you set more appointments successfully with the people you want to set appointments with, and then have much better and more effective sales conversations that result in new clients and more referrals. Now, Kim Angeli, she's a one-time major producer in the sales technology industry. I think at one time she was a $65 million producer. She then owned her own very successful insurance agency before selling that. And now she shares with companies and individuals how to grow their businesses with gratitude and revolutionize their retention and referrals. She recently published her first book. It's called My Daily Gratitude Journal. I know somebody, by the way, who just told me he bought 10 copies this morning for people on his team. So this thing is really going well, and it should, because she did a great job with it. I love her saying, "It's not your customer's job to remember you. It's your job to be unforgettable." Make sure you check out both Jeff's and Kim's websites. Jeff is www.jeffcwest.com. Kim is www.kimangeli.com. They both have all sorts of great resources that you can check out and stay connected with them. Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know, Jeff, we're having a little bit of technology issues with you, and you may or may not be dropping off unintentionally at one point. So we're glad to have you with us as long as we can.
Just remember, if I disappear, it's because of my younger days as a magician, and I just poof, I was gone.
Absolutely. And taking out the plug and replugging in just didn't work, that time.
That's right.
Right.
Kim, what's going on with you today?
I am enjoying lovely Charlotte, North Carolina, and just sending out books, Bob. It's fun to mail out books.
I know. I love it.
Fun to help people be grateful. So
yeah. So we have a wonderful guest coming up, and one of the things we're going to begin with is in terms of being able to define success for ourselves. And when we think of success, just the concept, success covers so many different areas, and there can be so many different definitions for success and of success. I think we could really accurately say that success covers many areas of life. There's financial, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, social, relational, probably a dozen others I'm not even thinking of. But when we think of definitions, there are a number of different ways. I mean, it could be, in a sense, success can be, defined simply as the accomplishment of a specific goal. You have a goal to lose, 10 pounds in 6 months. And if you do that, you were successful. If you don't do that, you weren't successful. On the other hand, there's a continuum. If you lost, 9 pounds, you were 90% successful. So we can look at success that way. But there are also, I think, ways in which success goes and definitions go deeper. I always loved Earl Nightingale. He was, of course, Lead the Field and The Strangest Secret, one of the forerunners of the personal development movement. Earl Nightingale, if you've ever listened to some of his, if you've never listened to any of his audios, check them out. You can get them for free on the internet. And I mean, you just got to hear this guy. But I loved his definition of success. He said it was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, you think about that. The progressive realization means you didn't necessarily accomplish the goal yet, but just by nature of the fact that you were working toward it, you were progressing toward it, that's success. Now, he also said, remember, progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So being the top drug dealer, in your corner is not a worthy ideal. That would not be successful. Okay. So, I think we can look at a lot of those. Christopher Morley wrote, "There's only one success: to be able to spend your life your own way." I love that.
Mm.
John Wooden, the record holding for years and years and many years, he had said the UCLA Bruins, perhaps the best basketball coach or any coach ever, whatever, certainly within the top 5. His definition of success, now listen to this, is peace of mind that is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. Notice, for a guy who won so many games until Dean Smith passed him, he was the all-time leading coach in terms of victories, college basketball. The success to him wasn't about the win. The wins were the results of the success, right? And that was basically doing the best, living up to your best. So I personally define success as an ongoing feeling of joy and happiness based on having done one's best to live up to their potential. So in my definition of success, which I think is a cousin of Coach Wooden's, it's, you're successful to the degree you've lived up to your potential. Those are just some thoughts. We all have our own, and we're going to hear from Kathy's. But I'd love to hear yours, Kim, and I'd love to hear yours, Jeff, your definitions of success.
Go ahead,
So
Kim.
go ahead, Bob. Go ahead, Jeff.
I guess in my case, my definition of success, it has changed so much over the years. At one time, it was career and being able to hit certain goals. Making sure my children were raised well, and now they're great adults, and I've got grandchildren. But I think at this particular stage in my life, because writing is so important to me, success for me right now is when someone does something different because of something I've written. It might be in their sales process and their leadership process. Oftentimes they'll write me and tell me about the changes. Sometimes they won't, and I'm okay with never actually always knowing the specifics, but I love to I feel successful when I think what I'm doing is making a difference somewhere out there.
Love that. What a beautiful definition. Kim, Angeli.
And I agree. In the early in my career, I chased the hustle. And now I chase alignment. And my joy comes from seeing people transform their own lives with maybe an action step or a seed I planted. Like this morning, I posted a Facebook post that just came to me during my morning, time with my gratitude journal and what I do and teach. And I had a friend, client, person in my life text me a Post-it note that she put on that she took from my Facebook post and put on her computer monitor that will lead her to shift to grateful living instead of grumpy. And that right there just fuels me to just keep putting that stuff out there. Because sometimes I don't love fake book. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just the highlight reel of people's day. But I use it as a tool to inspire grateful living and help people live their lives by design, because we were all put here to live a life by design and alignment. We weren't put here to pay bills and die.
Right. So when you help people do that, that's success
right.
to you. So I love both of those. I think those are magnificent. So speaking of magnificent, I want to introduce our guest. Kathy Tagenel is president of Living Vibrantly, and truly, and I can tell you this from firsthand, from working with her for so long, she's a magnificent strategist. She helps small business owners and entrepreneurs sustainably grow their businesses with less stress and more joy. She also develops, facilitates and facilitates workshops, masterminds, and retreats to help individuals and leaders, teams gain clarity and alignment so they can focus on what matters most. That's so key. Now, since 2008, she has partnered with Truly and has been a driving force in building the Go Giver brand based on John David Mann's and my book of the same name, and growing the Go Giver movement. I like to say she was the branding and strategy brain behind the movement. She's also the co-founder of the Go Givers International community. Now, Kathy's background is in marketing, information technology, and entrepreneurship. Her passion is working with entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs to help them understand and appreciate their unique gifts so that they can realize their creative potential. As a Kolbe Certified Consultant, she helps individuals discover and leverage their instinctive strengths for greater productivity, personal fulfillment, and more joy. And I've seen her change lives in businesses through her expertise in that area. Kathy received her BS in electrical engineering from Northwestern University and her MBA from the University of Chicago. Pretty smart cookie. She started her first business in 1999 and has been a serial entrepreneur ever since. Prior to that, she worked for corporations such as IBM, Ameritech, and Vario for 12 years. Kathy is an adventurer. She loves to travel, take nature photos, and mainly boldly go where she's never gone before. Good morning, Kathy Tagenel.
Good morning, Bob, Kim, and Jeff. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It is such an honor.
Well, thank you for being with us. So, Kathy, Jeff, Kim, and I were just discussing. I'm sure you're listening in and talking about our definitions of success. So, I love Kathy Kolbe's definition, and I left that one out so that you could talk about it. But I love Kathy Kolbe's definition, which is the one you use. Would you share that with us and why it's so special?
Yes. And I love all of your definitions of success. But Kathy Kolbe's has a very special place in my heart. And hers is that success is the freedom to be yourself. I like to add, it's also creating from a place of joy. So it's just so powerful when you truly understand yourself and all the gifts that you have to share. And Bob, with your Go Giver principles, the law of authenticity, well, I love them all. That one always had a special place. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. And it starts with awareness. We need to understand all the gifts that we are here to share.
So, well, that would lead into really how do you do that? How do you help individuals discover this in themselves?
Sure. Well, I like to call it discovering their strength stacks. You know, I'll hat tip to Scott Adams. He calls it a talent stack. I've kind of broadened it. I consider it strengths. I look at all three aspects of our mind. You know, we have cognitive, which is, you know, our innate intelligence, our skills, our experience, all the learned behavior. Then we have the affect, which is feeling based. That's our emotions, our values, our preferences, our personality. And then the third part is this conative, which is a word most people have never even heard of. But thanks to Kathy Kolbe for 40 years, she's been a pioneer in the human instincts. And really brought that forward. Aristotle and Plato first theorized these three aspects of the mind, but Kathy Kolbe is the only person who has really developed the assessment that identifies how you naturally take action. What is your natural problem-solving method? So whenever you're making a decision, solving a problem, or creating something new, you are using these striving instincts if you're free to be yourself.
Okay. By the way, and I'm going to bring Kim and Jeff into this, but I don't think I mentioned your website, and I want to do that. It's Tagenel.com. So Tagenel.com. I think you might be the only Tagenel in the United States. I'm not sure.
I think I am, since I made that name up. For another time.
You know, Kathy, one of the things that I have loved about what you've coached me on in the Kolbe analysis and all that is it has helped me embrace some of the things that I thought, well, maybe I should be better at some of the other stuff. Like I'm an ideas person, a creative type, and thanks to your coaching, I embrace that more, and where maybe I'm not as good with some of the details, your coaching let me off, I don't want to say let me off the hook, but you certainly let me accept my style of working, and I'm forever grateful about that.
You are so welcome, Jeff. And that's one of the power of what when you understand these instinctive strengths, like for yourself, one of your strengths is your ability to innovate, and really push the envelope, and allowing yourself to do that, and to recognize that you work best at a hard deadline, not doing things weeks in advance. But that's just your natural energy flow. And we need to appreciate that about ourselves. It's just so liberating when you understand this and you're not trying to force yourself into what works for other people.
I just wish,
very helpful.
yeah, I am beyond grateful for Kathy and Bob. I was introduced to the Kolbe coming to a Beyond the Mastermind in 2023. And I've said this before, it started my transformation. It was something I knew, and I knew instinctively I probably should not ever do paperwork and do insurance renewals, that I should have been the visionary in my agency. But when you have the data, and data doesn't lie, to back up what you needed to know was truth, it really helped me, like Jeff said, not beat myself up, because I don't love the back office. I can do it, but it certainly is not. I want to go take a power nap after doing some of those things, like, phew. And now I partnered with Kathy, and I will not coach a private client without them agreeing to a Kolbe assessment.
Oh, no, don't either.
Because I can coach them better, faster, and have more transformation knowing what their MO is. And it has been fascinating in the last 24 months how much transformation you can help people have and see having the data. And I'm a DISC person. I've taken the DISC 100 million. You give me an assessment, I'll be like, can't wait to fill it out. But I'm a DISC person. I'm a high D, high I. Shocker. I'm in the strength test. I'm strategy first. But this is really energetically how you show up in life. And again, like Jeff said, it gave me permission to be myself. And it is so powerful.
Yeah, that is great. And I'm same with you. If I'm coaching someone, they've got to take. Kathy does the Kolbe, absolutely. So let me ask you something, because Kim had brought up something. Kolbe, do people, when you first bring up about Kolbe, do they ever think it's a personality type of thing? And how do you handle that?
Yes. I mean, people are so used to all the personality tests that are out there that it's first helping them understand that this is something totally different from personality. The Kolbe is the only assessment, and it's what's unique, that identifies these innate abilities, these striving instincts on how you solve a problem, make a decision. It is your mental energy, and we each have a certain amount. When we're healthy and we wake up in the morning, our mental energy tank is filled. Just like our physical energy, we have mental energy. And when you understand the percentages that you have in each of the 4 modes, and you work with that, you can flow energetically through your day and not feel brain dead. You know what you need to delegate. The things like Kim, you're saying, it's not that you can't. Of course you can do the paperwork, but because it's not your natural strength, it takes more energy and will leave you drained afterwards. So why not find somebody who naturally does it well and it just flows for them, instead of having to drain yourself? It's so powerful to understand that. Yes, Jeff.
That brings up something to me when I'm writing, when I'm working on a manuscript, doing a first draft, like I'm doing one right now with Susan Sullivan. And
cool.
I can literally, she's a great lady. But as I'm drafting, I can draft for hours and hours. And when I get through, I'm ready to go do something else. It's fun. But you take that same thing where maybe I'm working on an email sequence, or I'm working on some of the logistics of my business. I can do it for an hour and a half. Think, oh man, I just can't do this anymore.
That's right, because you're an adapter in what's called the follow-through mode, Jeff. That's the instinct to structure and pattern. Your natural instinct is to be more open and random and adapt to what's going on. So when you have to force yourself to create an email sequence, oh my gosh, it will take twice the amount of energy. Whereas someone myself with the initiating follow-through, that just flows for me. And so that's why we need this diversity of strengths and the people that we work with. We each have our gifts and we want to stay in that zone of our gifts and team up and collaborate with others. And we can all accomplish more, be more productive, and do it from a place of joy.
So key. I'd love to hear a couple stories if you don't mind sharing. And I know you won't use names of people and so forth, but I would love to know, some of the, I mean, I've seen some of these obviously myself, but there's also some I know that are really special.
Well, as Kim was sharing how she feels, such satisfaction, impacted someone. I feel the same way when I've helped share someone's Kolbe with them and help them understand those results. I've had people email me back saying, I'm in tears. I'm not broken. That I have gifts. So much in our culture tells us we have to be one way, but that may not be the way we are. So it is just so heartwarming and satisfying to be able to share this. I truly believe everybody needs to know this. Every child should understand this about themselves. It's just so powerful. So a few other examples. I was working with another person who was coming to our Beyond the Mastermind retreat, and I had explained her results. She is a realtor, and she shared with me, she's like, oh, do you think this would be worth doing for my assistant? I actually don't think she's working out, and I think I might need to let her go. And I said, well, if you're open, let's do it. And let's see if she's a conative fit or not. And so she did, and found out the assistant was the perfect fit for the role, but she was thinking that the assistant needed to do it her way, which her way was very different and worked great as the realtor, but not as the person doing all the paperwork. So it was really eye-opening, and they were able to work effectively.
Well, here's the funny thing about this too, because this one I do know. He was at our event, and she happens to be a top, one of the mega top producing realtors that you hear about sometimes. And she had told us that when she asked you to do the Kolbe with her assistant, with her admin, it was really just to qualify her own belief that she should fire her, that she should let it go. Let her go, excuse me. Right. And so she was actually doing it just to confirm her bias. And then you can, unfortunately, but one reason why she's so successful is because she's not going to fall victim to that. And she's going to see where she may not have been correct. And it's worked out just beautifully.
Yeah. And I just want to throw out there, the conative piece is one aspect. So when you're hiring someone, you want to make sure that it's a fit for their instinctive strengths, but also that you have a values fit, that there's a skills fit. So I'm not just saying it's the one piece. Sure. We have to look at the entire person, and we want to help people be in positions where they can thrive and truly enjoy what they're doing. Another one, I just absolutely love working with couples, especially when they're entrepreneurs. And thank you for referring your client, Adrian and Charlene, to me. Just phenomenal individuals. They have had their business they just celebrated 19 years in business together. That's a huge accomplishment just for being in business, but for couples, for anyone who's ever worked with a spouse, you know what that's like. So kudos for them. We went through their results yesterday, and it was just so wonderful, the ahas that they felt in understanding each other. Things that had been a source of frustration, they realized, oh, this is your natural way of doing it. It's not that you're trying to be a pain, not do it. It's this understanding that comes with, oh, I get it. for instance, they gave me permission to share a little. So Charlene initiates in what's called Fact Finder. So she specifies, she can get in and do the research and write things down. And then Adrian's gift is his ability to explain in that mode. And so she'll take it to him to edit. And he can do that. But then she would come back and want to edit it 20 times. And he'd be like, he would just reach this point where he just didn't have any more of that fact finder energy. And, she couldn't understand, well, why not? Well, because he doesn't have as much. There was a difference of 2. And it's not linear, it's orders of magnitude. So you feel that difference between 2 people in the different modes. It's really fascinating once you experience this and understand this about themselves. And also Adrian happens to be a natural mediator facilitator, meaning he doesn't initiate in any mode. He actually accommodates across 3 and prevents in 1. And so he truly is this unsung hero and the glue that keeps it all together. So really was validating for him to go, oh, that's why. It just starts making so much sense. So I just absolutely love sharing this information and helping people, really be more productive, really appreciate the gifts that they have, and to find that joy in their life. Because when you're working from this place of your strengths, and your energy flows, and it doesn't feel like you're working.
Right. And one thing I love, Kathy, and if you want to explain this to the audience, because again, I'm kind of a assessment junkie. It doesn't change. Yes. Right. So DISC will change over time. If I took the DISC now, I haven't taken a long time. This I love about it is this is your MO. So can you explain that a little bit? And then I do wish if you would just explain, because I have a 22-year-old about to graduate college, and we are going to do a Kolbe with you so that she can have a slight edge into her next journey and chapter, which I wish I'd had. But explain how this actually helps people coming into the workforce out of college, because this should be requirement for a diploma.
Yes, it should be included. But one thing about the Kolbe assessment, and Kolbe Corp has done 20-year test and retest. It does not, your strength doesn't change over time. These are innate, authentic abilities you're born with. You are wired to be successful in these ways. So it does not change. This is one thing that we can count on. The cognitive and the affect changes over time. We know we develop skills, and if we don't use it, we lose it. We can pick it back up like riding a bike, but if we're not using it, and the same, our affect, that emotional development is our true area of growth. We don't have to be locked in patterns we developed as children to protect ourselves. We can grow and become more whole in who we are as individuals. So I'm with you, Kim. I would love to see every graduating senior. I actually mentor at my local high school, and I gift this to my graduating seniors so they can understand this about themselves. And it also, while it doesn't put you in any kind of box, and it doesn't say this is your career, what it will help you understand is, depending what your interest is, what about that career is going to come naturally to you, what might be frustrating, what you need to be aware of if you're going to go that route. I know that had I had this, I might have pursued a totally different avenue. I don't regret anything I've done, but it would have opened up things to me that I had not even considered, factoring in innate abilities that I didn't even discover until later in life. And I'm still discovering. So thank you, Kim.
Yeah, I agree. I believe that awareness is our friend, and being aware, having the data makes it so much better. So thank you.
So I want to shift in this final part to your strategizing that you do. I've always been amazed at how you've done that, and you really took the go-giver concept and from the book, magnificently written with John David Mann being the magnificent writer, but written with the magnificent John David Mann. Jeff, don't laugh. You always catch me when I say those those things that are, that are ridiculous. You're the one that catch. Everybody else lets them go, and I always see you laughing. But and you kind of stepped in right at the beginning and coordinated. Well, you strategized and coordinated it and made it really happen. Took it to a whole different areas where where we have the speakers and the different groups we've had and the Beyond the Go Giver Beyond the Mastermind event, and all these different things. Your brain works in a way that's different than mine, obviously, because I don't see those things. So what? And I'm going to give an example right here too, because you all also have a way of always making it about the other person. So recently, I bought I have a cat who has some biting issues. He was a rescue, and it's come from a background that wasn't necessarily pleasant. So he's got some biting issues that he still goes through. Been trying to work him out of that little by little. Hasn't really worked. So I saw this great ad on Instagram, I think, for a cat thing that you could put over your arm that you can wrestle with him without him taking your hand off and destroying your entire arm like Buddy does with me.
It looks like Buddy.
I know he does.
Kitty.
I know. And
You're gonna have to bring Buddy up now.
So I was really excited about this, and so you can wrestle with your cat, so he can get all the aggression out and do all the things. He is totally not interested. Now, granted, he's sort of like his human dad. He doesn't always catch on to things right away that he probably should. But you had this great idea. You said, well, why didn't they just make, a doll thing like this with a protective arm? Since that's what Buddy wants. Buddy wants to attack my hand and my arm. So why didn't they just do that? That is no big deal. No, it is a big deal, because what they did do is they didn't see it from the viewpoint of the cat. That now they saw it from the viewpoint of the person who'd be buying it. So I'm actually the customer, but the end user is the cat. So how do you think like that? How does that happen? You say, well, why didn't they just make it an arm?
So, well, I'll share that my MO, I initiate in what's called follow through. So I systematize, I develop things, but then secondarily, I'm highly accommodating what's called quick start. So I want to create things, but they have to be new and different each time. So I see things, in a different way. I do not maintain. I like to create it, but don't ask me to maintain it. Those are, the times in my life where I've burnt myself out, where I've had to try to maintain things. And that's just not when my energy flows. So, Bob, thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this, Go Giver from the beginning. From the moment I read the advanced copy of the book, I knew this book was going to change the world. And we partnered to create that city partner program. And that really helped me.
The first thing you did with us. That's right. Oh my gosh, what you did with that. Because, wow. Go ahead.
And it was something that I had never done a big event of over 200 people before. I had done maybe 70 people, and I discovered I was good at it. I loved it. It tapped all of my strengths, and it came so naturally to me.
You systemize the whole thing. I hadn't been able to get it. So because my thing was always being hired by corporate audiences and organizations. So there might be, thousands of people in the audience, but I didn't bring any of them in. That was the thing. So now asking you, can you get, a couple hundred people, 150 people, whatever? Well, I've never done this, but I'll give it a try. Well, you systemized the whole thing. You had this magnificent audience with all these sponsors. And then it was, well, Kathy, could you do that like everywhere else throughout the country while I'm promoting this book? And you did. And you showed other people how to do it. And that's what I mean, that you took this thing from nothing. You systemize it. I define a system as the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles, right? So you basically strategize the whole thing, put it down there, and made it so anyone else can duplicate it, which I know is what you do with your clients.
Yeah. So that was so much fun. And we did 50 of those events. Can you believe it?
Over the course of a couple of years or something? Yeah.
Yeah, several, probably 8.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But then we went on.
Jeff was one. You were one of the city partners, weren't you?
Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
That was before we
That's
were
where I
great.
met
Why we
Kathy for the
were
first
friends,
time.
but that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, met so many incredible people through hosting those events, and then I've developed so many things together. It's just been really an absolute blast. I especially love our Beyond the Mastermind retreats, where we get to work with a group of 8 people, and that's where transformation really, really does occur. And we're getting ready to launch our new Go Givers International membership organization.
Yeah, tell us about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had lots of people reaching out. They really want more connection with fellow go-givers. You've sold over 2 million copies of all the books in your series. The Go-Givers sold over 1 million. So there's a lot of people out there that this message resonates with, and they want to connect with other people. So part of it will be an online platform that makes it easier to connect without all the yucky parts of regular social media. I'm with Kim. There's a place for the regular social media, but we're creating a home. We want to welcome home all the go-givers with the goal around community. It is about connection, communication, and collaboration. So this isn't just about getting together. This is about let's create the world we want to live in. As go-givers, we're all leaders and, for the most part, entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, and we can create the world that we envision, the world like you wrote about in the Go-Giver series, Bob. So that's the big goal of our community. And not only will it be virtual, we're going to have virtual events. We're calling Table for 4, a way to help members get to meet each other in small breakouts of 4, and they'll get to have multiple meetings. We'll also start having some live events and maybe even regional events. So I'm just very excited. I always wanted to connect go-givers worldwide.
Yeah, I love it. Tell us, as we bring this conversation to a close, tell us, you put together something very special for our viewers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Well, one, if anyone would like a complimentary strategy session, you can go to my website, tagenel.com. That's TAGENEL.com. And you can book a 30-minute consult, and we can just explore, what do you have going on? Maybe you want to explore your strength stacks, learn more about what the Kolbe is before you take it. For those of you who we've piqued your interest and you want to find out what your MO is, I have a special package on that site. And if you use the code BOB, B-O-B, you can save $126, and that will give you the Kolbe A Index. We'll spend an hour really going through helping you understand and how to leverage your innate strengths. And there'll be several other reports that I share with you in that package. And I really am about helping people get in alignment with joy in their life and to be able to create from a place of joy. I want to call out Kathy Loftman, a dear friend, turned me on to Robert Holden's. He has a free audio on his website, robertholden.com. If you want to go there, called Follow Your Joy. I had told her that my word for this year is joy. And so I listened to it, and he said something that, well, he just gave me the words for what I felt. And that is that joy is our original energy. When we're born, there's the reason you say babies are bundles of joy. That is our original energy. And I want to help people get in alignment and connect with that original energy of joy and help them grow their business from that place of joy.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much for working with me for so long and making me a better person, and really just getting the word out there. And I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, Kim and Jeff. And thank you for this opportunity to have this wonderful conversation and to share today. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Great.
Our pleasure.
Great to have you here.
Visit Tagenel.com. I'm going to bring Kim and Jeff back in just a moment. But first, I do want to thank our producer, Joseph Lewin. And Joseph is the founder of Sell Through Social. He helps speakers and coaches really grow their influence through live shows on LinkedIn and YouTube. You know, a live show is an easy way to start a conversation with people you want to know. His team, including the lovely Allison, also assists clients in growing their YouTube and LinkedIn through video-based content services. I've been working together with him now for a while. He's absolutely fantastic and responsive and knowledgeable, always learning more and always a joy to work with. So thank you, Joseph Lewin. Well, Jeff and Kim, what did you guys think?
Amazing.
Every time,
He's amazing.
every time we're around Kathy, and it's just great. And I think my signal's going off because my hands are waving oddly.
Your energy's down.
I'm traveling in Florida, my bad, but it's so good to be with everybody today.
Thank you, Jeff. Kim?
The Kolbe and Kathy are priceless. I've attended 2 Beyond the Masterminds. One started my transformation into this miraculous life that I live and grow into every day. And so I'm just beyond grateful for Kathy and Bob and Jeff, and the Kolbe is just take it. Don't even think about it. If you're a fact finder, just say yes.
Absolutely.
Tagenel.com. All right. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much again to Kathy Tagenel for sharing her wonderful heart and wisdom with us, as well as to my great friends, Jeff West and Kim Angeli. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on Bob and Friends.